Hey there, everyone. Greetings once again to Language Liberation. Allow me to pose an inquiry to you all. Would you clean your dental surfaces just annually for an extended period like several hours? Absolutely not. That wouldn't make sense. Instead, you tend to them daily, perhaps only briefly, around a couple of moments. Yet you repeat the action consistently over time. Acquiring proficiency in this tongue follows a similar pattern. There's no requirement to dedicate enormous blocks of hours in a single session. Opting for modest amounts on a regular basis yields superior results. This approach embodies the essence of steady effort. Permit me to elaborate further. Steady refers to engaging in an activity repeatedly across days, not merely during moments of high motivation, but maintaining a routine schedule. That's the core of being reliable in your actions. Therefore, in this current installment, I'll demonstrate how such ongoing commitment, this habitual dedication, can utterly revolutionize your verbal expression abilities. Are you prepared to dive in? Let's get started right away. So what makes this ongoing commitment, this routine engagement so crucial? Here's the initial justification. Your mind absorbs knowledge through reiteration, signifying performing identical tasks numerous occasions. Upon encountering a phrase repeatedly, your cognition secures it firmly. Next, repeated actions render it instinctive. Initially, articulating in this dialect feels sluggish. You pause frequently, ponder deeply, and convert ideas internally. However, with daily involvement, your vocal apparatus adapts to the patterns. You communicate more swiftly. You experience greater liberation, correct? Additionally, it enhances your self-assurance, implying you trust your capabilities. You're less intimidated. You become willing to experiment. Engaging with this speech form routinely allows your poise to develop gradually, layer by layer. Thus, bear in mind that minimal portions frequently surpass massive efforts sporadically. All right? This illustrates the strength of reliable dedication, and it's the method to evolve your linguistic skills, to refine your command over this communication tool. Understood? Not via one massive endeavor, but through tiny increments on every occasion. Fine. As I've mentioned in prior segments, allocating merely a short span like 10 to 15 units of time daily can foster substantial advancement. Yet, you might wonder, all right, Alex, what activities should fill those brief intervals? Permit me to suggest 5 uncomplicated options. Select a single one or combine several based on your preference. To begin, absorb auditory content in this idiom. This holds significant value. Opt for a concise recording or sound clip. Pick materials designed for those building skills in this area. It might involve a narrative, a brief discussion, or everyday exchanges. No need to grasp every detail. Simply tune in and attempt to identify certain terms. You could do this amid strolling, tidying up, or preparing a warm drink. To add my own perspective here, incorporating background sounds from real-life scenarios, such as ambient conversations in public places via apps, can make absorption feel more immersive and less like a chore, helping bridge the gap between structured learning and natural exposure. Moving on, replicate a concise expression through mirroring. Mirroring entails hearing a particular line and uttering it simultaneously, resembling a reflection or duplicate. Understood? You imitate the presenter's style. Our series includes various parts dedicated to this replication exercise. It aids in verbal delivery, sound formation, and flow. You discover the manner in which fluent users converse. Commence with brief phrases. For instance, I'm proceeding toward the market. Now articulate it alongside me. I'm proceeding toward the market. Fine, excellent. Thus you vocalize it in sync with the voiceover multiple times, and shortly it becomes effortless to produce. All right, next up is the third suggestion you might try. Peruse a compact tale or informational piece. Select uncomplicated content. This could be a solitary narrative or a succinct update on events. Proceed at a relaxed tempo, okay? Upon spotting an unfamiliar term, attempt to infer its significance. If it proves challenging, consult a reference guide, all right? But avoid halting excessively. Strive to find pleasure in the process. Perusing assists in encountering fresh vocabulary and structural arrangements. Here's the fourth activity you could pursue. Compose a solitary section in this language. No obligation to produce extensive text. Merely a handful of lines suffices. Describe your recent experiences. What activities occupied my time lately? Or outline future intentions. What tasks await me soon? This reinforces structural rules and word choices. Plus, it enables you to convey ideas directly in this medium. For example, earlier I visited the outdoor space. I encountered a companion. We shared a beverage. The conditions were bright. Very well. To enhance this, I recommend reviewing your compositions after a day or two, spotting any patterns and errors, and correcting them gently. This builds self-editing skills without overwhelming pressure, turning writing into a reflective growth tool. Now, wrapping up with the fifth option for those limited moments. Engage in verbal monologue audibly. Indeed, converse with your own reflection using this dialect. This is feasible within your personal space. No audience is necessary. Simply express vocally regarding your current actions. For instance, I'm assembling a morning meal. I'm donning my footwear. I'm departing for my occupation. This fosters direct ideation in this form. All right? It promotes ease in articulation. Fine. Therefore, you immerse in this tongue presently. You attend to a recording. You scan a brief account. You pen a few lines, and then what transpires? Does fluency emerge instantaneously akin to indigenous users? Certainly not. Yet a minor shift occurs. Let's dissect it further. Following a solitary session of involvement, you experience satisfaction. You sense, indeed, I accomplished a task now. Possibly you acquire a fresh term. Maybe you comprehend a compact phrase more clearly. It's minor yet tangible. So for illustration, you hear an individual utter, "What's up?" Presently you recall it signifies, "How are things?" Merely one tiny advancement, but it propels you ahead. After 7 consecutive days of commitment, you've maintained momentum across a full cycle. All right. Each period you absorbed sounds, scanned texts, composed, and articulated. Your cognition begins adapting more readily to this medium. You retain additional elements. You cease internal conversions for every element. Progressively, increment by increment, you infer significances, and frequently accurately. Occasionally inaccurate, but that's acceptable. For example, you encountered the expression, "I'm making my way to the outlet." You hadn't encountered this previously, but contextual clues reveal, it indicates I'm traveling to the shop, and this represents genuine development. To build on this, tracking these small wins in a personal log can amplify motivation, as seeing accumulated progress visually reminds you of the journey's rewards, preventing discouragement during plateaus. Now, following 30 days of dedication, your mind acclimates to this speech pattern. It seems recognizable. You command additional terms. You deliver expressions somewhat more rapidly. You rely less constantly on reference tools. All right? That's authentic acquisition. Naturally, initial stages involve timidity. Fear of errors looms. However, each instance of minor vocalization or inscription fortifies you. You commence affirming, "I'm capable. I'm advancing. Perfection eludes me, yet improvement is evident." And that's genuine poise. It doesn't materialize overnight. It expands gradually, akin to vegetation, but it expands. So allow me to offer some straightforward recommendations. These concepts will assist in maintaining your path. They'll render habitual engagement straightforward. Initially, employ a schedule tracker or verification list. Create a basic diagram or grid. Note the periods, first day of the week, second, third. Then record your accomplishments. I tuned into a sound session. I examined a narrative. I replicated an expression. Observing your advancements instills pride, fueling continued momentum. Second, activate a countdown device for 10 or 15 units. At times, we convince ourselves, no availability exists today. Sure, that might hold truth. But 10 units are feasible, aren't they? Program an alert on your gadget. Assure yourself, I'll commit solely to 10 units. Nothing more. Upon the signal's conclusion, cessation is optional. Or perhaps enthusiasm surges, prompting extension. Third, designate an identical slot daily. Endeavor to integrate this tongue into your standard regimen. Identify a period that aligns with your lifestyle. Certain individuals commit mornings, others evenings. some during commutes or ambles. Performing at consistent intervals transforms it into an ingrained behavior, comparable to dental maintenance. And here's the concluding aspect, which carries substantial weight. Render commitment accessible and enjoyable. All right, select pursuits that resonate. Avoid compelling engagement with dull subjects. If culinary arts appeal, examine instructions in this medium. If exploration captivates, view a concise journey clip. If melodies enchant, attempt vocalizing lyrics in this form. Furthermore, prepare your resources in advance. Bookmark a recording, access a compact tale, and position your jotting pad conveniently. With items readily available, initiation becomes simpler. To infuse extra worth from my coaching background, consider partnering with a virtual accountability buddy through language apps. Sharing daily check-ins keeps streaks alive and adds a social layer without in-person demands, making the habit more sustainable long-term. All right, dear companions, reliability resembles cultivating a sapling. You nourish it routinely. Initial observations reveal minimal alterations, but eventually you glance upward and witness substantial growth. You possess the potential. Simply persist. Maintain your involvement and uphold trust in your abilities. I'm Alex, and this is Language Liberation. Farewell until our next encounter. To delve deeper into the transformative power of routine, let's consider how it aligns with cognitive science principles. Habits form through consistent cues and rewards, so linking your sessions to existing routines, like after meals, strengthens adherence. Moreover, varying activities prevents monotony. Rotate between listening and speaking to engage different brain areas, enhancing overall retention. From my experiences, learners who incorporate gamification, such as earning points for completed tasks, often sustain longer streaks, turning practice into an engaging challenge rather than obligation. Expanding on the benefits post-month. Envision after 3 months. Conversations flow with fewer hesitations, cultural references click instantly, and self-expression feels authentic. This milestone often sparks a virtuous cycle where enjoyment fuels further effort. If lapses occur, forgive yourself. Restarting immediately rebuilds momentum without guilt, as consistency thrives on resilience, not perfection. For those facing time constraints, micro-habits like labeling home objects in this tongue or thinking simple thoughts during waits integrate seamlessly, accumulating exposure subtly. I've witnessed students double progress by multitasking audio with chores, proving efficiency in blending learning with life. Ultimately, this path not only hones linguistic prowess, but cultivates discipline applicable broadly. Celebrate milestones, perhaps with small treats, reinforcing positive associations. You're on a rewarding trajectory. Embrace each step with optimism.